good evening, depending on your time zone. Wherever you might be watching us this moment, it's a great, exciting moment to be here once again. Of course, to continue the in depth analysis of events as they continue to unfold. I welcome you to this political discourse this morning, which promises more exciting, of course, and intriguing moment here with Chigozie Ndebo. It's another day, of course, altogether, and we must be glad and rejoice for the precious gift of life. Once again, we are to discuss uh, several issues bordering on social, political, and economic sphere. But our main focus today is on the dismissed suit uh, by the Justice James Omotayo or Omotosho, who dismissed the case or suit of Nnamdi Kanu filed against the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Attorney General of the Federation, and of course the DSS on the basis of his infringement on his fundamental rights to fair hearing, having alleged that the DSS are bugging their his conversation with his legal counsels, and have not given them adequate time as provided by law, of course, to discuss on his litigations and against the Nigerian state that the lawyers also have complained is before the public domain that the DSS stripped them of every writing material or gadgets that would have helped them to discuss better with their clients. And unfortunately, this is how that case ended. Citing his position that there was no any evidence before him that would substantiate the claims by the legal counsel of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. It is quite laughable and very disturbing one, though we will come after, of course, to discuss in details what that means or connotes, of course, to the judicial system within the Nigerian state. Before we dive deeply into that, let's just have a review of the national dailies within the Nigerian state. According to Vanguard, it said that slum import operations put 40,000 jobs at risk. This is what is happening. And according to the SDGs, 63% of Nigerians still wallow in poverty. Well, that is according to their own projections, but I believe that is more than what they have admitted. It's more than 63% of Nigerians wallowing in poverty. By poverty, I mean abject poverty, living below the poverty line. If they could accept that 63% of Nigerians, by their own statistics, is wallowing in poverty, you know what that means? That far more than half of the Nigerian population is wallowing, swimming in abject poverty, in penury, in hunger, who no longer fend for themselves because of the economic mishaps. Kindly hit the like button, share this video as we navigate through this moment with Chigos and Debo here in CoreWeb TV. I welcome you once again, esteemed fans or viewers across the globe. This is CoreWeb TV, where we discuss and analyze events as they continue to unravel. And of course, digging deep has been our passion and commitment, keeping it real without any biasness or being censored. Here we are to review, this is what is happening, that more Nigerians, of course, are losing their jobs, and That is nothing but the truth. Why wouldn't they lose their jobs where multinationals are leaving the shores of Nigeria as if there is a declaration of war or emergency for them to leave before it is too late? Also, at the National Daily Tribune, we have Borno bombing, death toll now 32. You see, from 8 to 10 to 18. That is how it is escalating, is increasing. The truth is coming out. There is wanton destruction of life and property in Borno State. So we'll continue to hear more of this, but that is quite unfortunate and very disturbing. It's quite disturbing. On the National Daily, we also hear, of course, INEC proposes 142 recommendations to improve electoral process, says it has no power to conduct LG elections. This is INEC again. Of course, some have said that this is just to perfect the selection process, not the election process, that they are consolidating on how to consolidate on the selection process, which are millions of Nigerians, tens of millions of Nigerian youths have given up about Nigerian election, have lost confidence, and has passed a vote of no confidence in the electoral umpire. Unfortunately, there should have been independence, but have proven otherwise, that they are dependence, and it is only, of course, the highest bidder that will, of course, have his way. It is quite disturbing, this development, but that is not our major concern today. Now, again, it is happening. The unrest, the proliferation of arms, of course, is at high increase and very alarming, as customs seizes 844 rifles, 112,500 ammunitions in rivers ports. In rivers ports, this is happening. Of course, people are piling up arms for the day of doom, for doomsday. As things are falling apart, things are getting more worse than ever imagined. People are piling up arms for the day of doom. And of course, this was discovered at Rivers Port, and that is quite shocking but not surprise, because with the state of insecurity, uh, this the stabilization of the entire system in the area of security, economic wise, I mean, people are now resorting to self-defense, resorting to criminality, and possibly a way of protecting their political dynasty or interests. You can see how people are being sponsored, of course, to cause unrest and all of that, just for their selfish interests and whatever happens. It is quite disturbing, but these are realities in today's Nigeria. How 25 people died, 127 got injured in Kanu road crashes. This is reported by Daily Trust. Every day you hear sad news. Deaths that could have been avoided, unfortunately, in Nigeria is taking place. If the roads are in the state of are motorable, of course, if there are no potholes or if the roads are being maintained regularly, that such accidents could have been averted or avoided if the case be or reduced to barest minimum. But unfortunately, people are dying on daily basis, needless deaths, but that is because of the unfortunate mishaps. Yeah, Freeman, good morning. You're welcome to this political discourse here in Galway. Trust you're getting on well. Kindly join us. Once you join us, hit the like buttons and share this video so that others can join us, because we have a very interesting discussion today, and that will, of course, interest you. And whatever is the case, we are to review the latest happenings within the Nigerian state and what have you. Yeah, good morning. You always doing okay. Thank you so much. We are committed to serving humanity in this capacity, and of course, you can as well encourage us to do more. Thank you once again. Keep up. Okay, keep it up. Oh, thank you very much. We will continue to serve humanity as a dedication and a service to humanity. People must get to know the truth, and this is the only way we can be saved. We can be free from the oppression and the shackles of the oppressors, and the bars of irons of the oppressors can be destroyed. Imagine a country where more than 63% are poor. What becomes of that country? Regardless of the billions or trillions of naira being expended on yearly basis, Nigerians are still poor, more impoverished than ever imagined. You see, that was the record of during Buhari time, but I believe strongly that such records has been exceeded, of course, far greater than what is being perceived. Today, families are hungry, people are dying. I saw a lady, a woman that committed suicide. She she climbed at the head bridge, and eventually from there took her life. Before getting down to the, of course, the floor, she's dead, bleeding from her nose, from the eyes, and the rest is history. Because of what is happening, people can't cope with what is happening today. People have been forced to take, of course, their lives. People have been forced to do otherwise, because the fact they are no longer, the life does not matter again to them. But my candid advice, if you're in such a situation, please don't take your life. Don't take your life. Just trust in God, and of course, He possibly will send help to you. It's quite disturbing. A very beautiful lady, for that matter. Nobody would have known, of course, because of the pressures here and there. Many families are in distress, fighting each other, not because they intended to do so, but because of the hardship, unbearable economic mishaps, pains and agonies. Children's school fees, tuition fee could not be paid. I mean, the regular bills have been increased, the tariffs has been hiked, the NEPA, the tariff, whatever surrounding us is just constant exploitations of the Nigerian masses have brought untold hardship, and that is quite unfortunate. People are suffering, and there is no one comforting them. No social security, no, no any succor, not even when they don't have the palliative. It is only meant for the political exposed persons and their cronies. They have, they decide, of course, to hold it for themselves and for themselves alone. Okay, the News Telegraph said, declare total uncompromising war on Boko Haram criminal elements. This is coming from the Arewa Consultative Forum, tells FG that FG should declare uncompromising war on Boko Haram and other criminal elements. By that, they possibly would mean the agitators of the Biafran resurrection, or the Biafran's agitators or Biafran's liberators, could be captured under this uh, connotation or caption of criminal elements. It's quite unfortunate that the Arewa consultative forums have not been able to tell themselves the truth, have not been able to speak to the powers that be within the northern hemisphere. Let them fix their own problems. The problem is peculiar and local to them. Let them fix the Boko Haram they created for themselves, the monsters they created for themselves, that had become, of course, a nagging nightmare, bedeviling all and sundry. People are now fleeing for their lives. For them to have said uncompromising, which means there are some elements of truth that some within the corridor of power are interested in the state of insecurity within the Nigeria. It could be from the security operatives, or the executive, or the legislators, or some power brokers who, of course, are cashing out from this state of insecurity. So for them to have used the word uncompromising war, it means the war before now against Boko Haram insurgency to some extent has been compromised. No wonder Sheikh Gumi could come and tell us that you can't subdue Boko Haram in the next 20 years or 2 decades. It is impossible to fight, to conquer Boko Haram. Then you begin to ask, why is it impossible? Which means that there are informations that is not before the public domain. There are heavyweights, there are power brokers who, of course, are engineering the cause of restlessness for their very selfish purpose or interests. They want to remain relevant and control such resources and possibly see it as a better way of looting the common treasury of the state. Now, the state of poverty in Nigeria is quite alarming. People are, in fact, the level of frustration now is something that have never been imagined in the history of humanity. Just go to the streets and ask people how they felt, how they are faring. People are no longer suffering and smiling as it used to be in those days that Fela would sang that Nigerians are suffering and smiling. Zombie, zombie. Now you begin to ask, with this chain of oppression being extended, rather than losing people from the shackles of oppression, people are now being tied to their neck to die. Yes, says, please, where are you reporting from? Okay, I'm in the state. Okay, thank you so much. We are reporting all the way from Nigeria, Lagos State. Keeping it real has been a commitment, and to this end, we come your way. The uncompromising war. The war against Boko Haram has lasted close to 2 decades now. Billions and trillions of dollars has been expended in this war, and yet that seems to be no results. Unfortunately, the insurgency are now expanding their tentacles. Now we have the Islamic State of West African province, and of course, taking over the entire northern hemisphere. And of course, we also have their extension or branch, the bandits and other militias, of course, rocking the entire country. People are fleeing from their homes. The communal and societal lives have been disrupted. No economic, of course, activities going on. The North is already at war. At war, war declared against the populations of the impoverished masses of the Northern Hemisphere. But unfortunately, the political elites are cashing out. The representatives of the people they are cashing out on monthly basis, taking constituency allowance when even there was no peace, let alone to carry out those developmental initiatives. People are living in IDPs. Unfortunately, the IDPs are not even secured. Oftentimes, they are being overrun by the same insurgents or militias, Boko Harams, and other Islamic jihadists. This is the state of the country. And now, the Arewa Consultative Forum demanding that the government of Nigeria, or precisely President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, should fight insurgency is quite laughable. Something they never did when Buhari was there, when their henchmen was there. You see, under the watch of Buhari, of course, that escalated and giving rise to what we are seeing today. The metamorphose into banditry, Boko Haram, Fulani militias, and what have you, and other, of course, armed groups who are promoting the Islamic State, of course, and the Islamization of the entire Nigerian state, of which the North has been conquered. Even the Hausas have been silenced in this regard, and today history is made. The next target could be the Eastern region, which every effort has been made towards this, but to no avail because the people's resistance is something second to none, and they are considering Mazen Nnamdi as a threat to such agenda. No wonder they orchestrated his extraordinary rendition, and having been incarcerated within the DSS dungeon today, and the court appealed the Justice James Omotosho, who presided over the hearing of the suit against the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Attorney General of the Federation, and of course, the State Secret Service, upon his infringement of his fundamental rights to self-hearing and, of course, defense of his people. It's been an interesting moment. I would have sought your just 2 minutes to have your view now. Okay, we have Mr. Niyi is here. Good morning, Mr. Niyi.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Uh, Omotosho, Justice Omotosho dismissed the 1 billion suit uh, against Attorney General of the Federation, the DSS, and the Nigerian federal government by Mazen Nnamdi and his legal counsel, citing that there was no evidence to prove that his conversation with his legal counsels was bugged. And of course, the lawyers could not present any tangible evidence to that effect, that they have been denied, of course, the right to fair hearing. This is a man who was stripped almost naked. He was not allowed to make use of any recording device, and of course, even writing materials, as the courts or the legal counsel have complained severally, and yet Omotosho could make such submissions that was the basis on which the case was dismissed.
Thank you for having me, Chikoze. And yeah, you see, the level of injustice now is so prevalent, and what worries me is the confidence in which these judges go out there to carry out is high-handedness. A man whom for no reason should be kept in detention for over 3 years, who has won a case. I mean, he has evidently won this case fair and square in the appeal court. He's still held hostage, and you want me to take any judgment that comes out of the mouth of Omotosho seriously? It's almost impossible. Just the same way that they couldn't provide evidences and proof that Mazen the Kanu, right, is a terrorist. Yet they failed to release him. It's the same way I will say that that judgment, that 1 billion that Omotosho is probably canceling is wrong. So for me, I think, I mean, the Nigerian system, the Nigerian judiciary system in recent times has been made a joke. And you will believe me, yesterday when Wike was saying something, and I laughed. You know, Wike came out there and he said openly that I am in charge. He said he's in charge of FCT. You know what that means, right? It simply means FCT now, whether we go to the election and if we thereafter go to the for adjudication, it will defeat Ireti King Big Pay. So what does that imply? It simply tell you that the judiciary systems are not independent. These people are being controlled by the corrupt political elites that we have in Nigeria. Okay? And those people who are behind the ordeal of Nnamdi Kanu, of course, will do everything possible to rubbish him. This is a man who has what, a case? Yes, I mean, by now, Nnamdi Kanu should have been released. Even if he's going to be termed not flight worthy, but at least he should have a considerable amount of freedom. On what basis is he being held down? On what basis? But then, this man has the temerity to say that Nnamdi Kanu has no evidence. But you guys have not had, you people have not provided any evidence in the last 3 years. I mean, they've not provided any empirical evidence in the last 3 years. Illegal detention of this man, the international bodies have intervened, yet Nigeria seems to be a nation that doesn't give respect to the rule of law. And no wonder nobody is taking us seriously. No wonder. FDIs will not come because they look like, oh, look at these people. Look at what DSTV had to go through. DSTV, a private entity, the House of Rep members had to I'm twisting that you cannot increase your prices. And this man told them, look at what is going on, the inflation and everything. But then these legislators cannot reduce their own, I mean, their own salaries. They won't dare it. You know, so Nigeria, for me, we need a drastic change. We need a revolution. I mean, and whatever Nnamdi Kanu has said in the past, majority of it is coming alight. And that's my take this morning. Thank you for that.
Thank you once again, Mr. Neve, for this brief submissions. Of course, you have heard it as we continue this discussion this morning. Yes, there is no basis under which the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu could be justified. The Nigerian government has lost the case, of course, in all ramifications. They have not been able to substantiate and argue their case beyond reasonable doubt. They have not been able to establish that Nnamdi Kanu was guilty of whatever allegation levied against him. And of course, to this end, it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that Nnamdi Kanu is being held hostage, and this is an oppression. It is not a trial, but a persecution. If the Nigerian government cannot establish any evidence, the reason why Nnamdi Kanu is being held hostage, why keeping him behind the DSS dungeon. And now a case was filed, which is evident before the public. His legal counsels have cried severally before the public domain that they will as well boycott subsequent case proceedings because the DSS are bugging their conversation. They have implanted some chips and microchips and camera, of course, to pick up any voice signal so that they can know and understand what they discuss. When the lawyers cited that this is an aberration, it is out of place, it shows an intimidation and suppression of the one standing trial. When you're standing trial does not mean that your fundamental rights will be infringed on. You have the right to self-hearing. You have the right to defend yourself, of course, through the legal counsels. But when you make it almost difficult or impossible for them to argue their case, to interact with their client on the best way to execute their litigations, argue their case, you are denying them the right to safe hearing, to fair hearing. But the Omotosho James, the judges that presided over the case, argued that there was no evidence. You can't imagine Nigerian court with evidence. You are looking for evidence. Did you need to establish an evidence that Nigeria violated international treaty on his extraordinary rendition? What other evidence do you need? In fact, that is to say that Nigerian judiciary is on trial. Of course, including the Attorney General of the Federation and the Omotosho who gave such judgments. It's quite laughable and very disturbing to base your argument on those frivolities. How do you expect someone who was stripped of virtually all any communication gadgets and you expect him to bring evidence? Why the lawyers who went to visit him to discuss or converse with him, of course, on the next line of actions, were often either denied access or not given a conducive environment to discuss, to have, of course, a tete-a-tete with their clients. And those reasons, of course, are very justifiable. But today, Omotayo have dismissed the case. And what is the way forward? Asking someone under detention, under DSS dungeon to provide evidence, which you have failed to provide in the last 3 years of his extraordinary rendition. So you expected them to provide, to move with recording gadgets and what have you in DSS, which is prohibited. So this is quite unfortunate, and that is what is happening in the Nigerian state. Here say, okay, okay, if you are commenting, we are focused and committed in these discussions. We don't need all these rubbish distractions that may be coming from most of those commenting via the comments medium here. We are discussing of issues of importance, and we must adhere to that and make your own contributions. We don't need any delay or distractions in that regards. The issue we are discussing today is borders on existence as a people. It's borders on justice, equity, and fairness. And if not well addressed, could possibly plunge Nigeria into uncertainty. And that is what we have been calling, that justice might be, should be seen and perceived to have been done if you must entrench peace and, of course, coexistence. Just look how people are walking up and down. Of course, that has been the usual happenings here. It is quite disturbing. People are becoming more destitute. In fact, you have to pity anyone in Nigeria at this moment. With the level of hardship, pains, and agonies they are passing through, is alarming, very unbecoming. So if the government can admit that 63% are living, wallowing in poverty, you know what that means? There's difference between you are in poverty and you are wallowing in poverty, which means you are lost. The person is lost. Over 100. What is 63% of 200 million people? Of course, that will give you a clear understanding of what is happening. by inference, but I disagree with such number because it's not the true reflection of what is on ground. That could be during the Buhari's time. But under the watch of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, where, of course, the slogan Ebim Pame was invoked, the slogan of Ebim Pame, of course, means hunger is now ravaging. People are wallowing in deep poverty. And uh, by estimations, by my own estimations, more than 93% of Nigerians are wallowing in abject poverty. What does it mean to wallow in abject poverty when you can't feed $1 a day? How much is $1 now? But hardly could you see some who can feed $1 a day. So that's reveals the essence of poverty. I mean, some don't even have access to where the next meal comes from. Millions have been turned to beggars on the streets, and that is quite unfortunate. Even those who dislike begging have been forced as the only alternative of survival to solicit for help and assistance. And if you have such opportunity, don't hesitate, of course, to extend uh, such gestures to them. Because be passionate with anyone you see, because everyone is passing through a difficult times. Now you can understand what is happening, what is playing out within the Nigerian states. Those who should have been the custodians of justice, equity, and fairness are the one playing gamble, playing hide and seek games, giving instances. This is why such cases should be struck out. You said that during the election, P2B provided all the evidence in the world. He piled them all, both hard copies was printed, and at the end of the day, what was done to those evidence? You said you can't be duplicating evidence. You can imagine that. And now somebody who has been incarcerated, who has been taken to the Nigerian court by Nigeria after his extraordinary renditions, and he has won overwhelmingly. There are court judgments in his favor that he should be compensated uh, for violating his fundamental rights. But unfortunately, the High Court, of course, under the leadership of Justice James Omotosho, dismissed such suits, citing his reasons for that the legal counsels could not have come up with substantial evidence to prove before you that he was denied the right to fair hearing, that his conversation with his legal counsels was blocked. You can imagine such child's play. It is a child's play, by my own opinion, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. These are cock and book stories you can't be telling even the kindergartners. Uh, Children we call umotakara, people who are just there to sing rhymes, and at the end of the day they go home. They eat their food and go home. These are people you can come up with such statements and think they will just overlook it. But this reveals uh, the extent to which the judicial system within the Nigerian state have been compromised. Now, why is the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu? After, of course, the presiding judge, Justice Binta Nyako, opted for out-of-court settlement. This is barely more than 10 days now. What is still keeping him under DSS torture? What are the terms and conditions for the out-of-court settlement? We have not known until we are briefed by the legal counsels to Nnamdi Kanu. It's quite disturbing what is happening today, but that is the reality with us. I'm quite unfortunate that this is happening. People are seeing the truth. There is no commitment and sincerity on the part of the executive, and the judiciary, of course, are conspiring against justice. Justice seems to have been murdered within the Nigerian legal system. And well, only time, of course, will prove us right. But whatever happens in the interim, we'll keep on abreast with the realities. Let me just adjust this just a moment. It is quite disturbing, honestly. Very unfortunate what is happening. Okay, we have an analyst here. Good morning. Good morning, boss. Yes, the 1 billion suit against federal government by Nnamdi Kanu and his legal counsel has been dismissed by Justice James Omotosho, saying that there was no evidence that his fundamental rights was violated and the right to fair hearing was also violated. A man who was under incarceration, under torture, he was not allowed to make use of phones or any other writing materials. And this is what before the court, Nigerian court.
Uh, I could have let you know that I'm here to discuss about Nigeria issue, not Nnamdi Kanu issue. Nnamdi Kanu issue is an ethnic issue. Nigeria issue is a national issue whereby it's affecting every common Nigerian. As an Igbo man, I could have tell you that I have to discuss about, but for me now, Nnamdi Kanu is not feeding me. I'm here in Lagos State at my own warrant. So I decided to discuss about Nigeria issue generally. But for Nnamdi Kanu, freedom fighter is not an easy role. Because we have known those who have fought to be a freedom fighter, the process they pass through, the pains and the cost of damages. You see, Mandela now is not the first person to have fought a freedom. Neither will be the last. Even if you die, somebody can still wake up and continue from where he stopped. Because Joku did it. And upon Joku left, someone else is there to continue, which is him. So freedom of it is not something we see as common. As is, no, it doesn't come easy. We know how many times Mandela had been in prison. We know how many times to the extent shows was gone. So if you have to be, I don't think Nnamdi is not the first person and will never be the last.
Okay, what are you insinuating? Are you saying that the struggle for independent state of Biafra should be abolished so that you can focus on Nigerian problem?
I'm not saying it should be
And,
abolished. I'm telling you that it doesn't come easily.
Okay, it doesn't come easily.
Yes.
Now, what is your reaction over the
If it is
dismissal of the suits?
dismissal of the suit is left for Nigerians and Kanu himself. If his lawyer can stood on his feet to defeat Nigeria government, it shows that it's not good. But if the Nigeria government can defeat Nnamdi's lawyer, it shows that it's good. So you have to face charges.
So, over 63% of Nigerian population is poor. Are you affected by the economic mishaps that is going
We have
on
economic meltdown
as a
in Nigeria.
business person?
We have economic issue in Nigeria, economic crisis, economic meltdown in Nigeria. Let me just give you a good example. An inflation whereby the cost of living is higher than the rate of income of a common man, there must be a problem.
So, what do you expect that common man to do if life is becoming miserable and unbearable for him?
If I must say, a common man must come or ask for God or government intervention, because in this situation now, we know that in a wise nation or a developed nation, government has right, has opportunity or privilege to impart positivity 50% into the masses to survive. But
If the
here,
government fails to do that, what next?
what next? You cause what you call so many things. Inflation like this, criminal acts, so many things. Like here in Nigeria, the one the government have already done now by removing subsidy, not where you have taken us to. Every children have realized Yahoo in this regime. That's criminal act. Every children now has started begging on the street, which you no suppose. The where a common man have to benefit, like education, they have removed the education subsidy. So not everybody can afford the month to attend to school. Because education system here in Nigeria now is your money. If you don't have cash, you won't be able to meet up. So everything, there's nothing government subsidize for us. So it's causing hardship, serious one. Because if you have to eat 3 square meal a day, you have to afford money for it. But people doesn't even meet up again to eat 3 square meal. Like now, some will even bear hungry, some drink garden midnight. In Nigeria here, for us to tell you, governments have rules to play, but they are using it as politics to us. Always believing that nothing is there. Something is there, which we know, but they are using it to deceive us. Any day we realize the way this government is been treating the common man, the masses, indeed.
Yes, says Oga, you are not bold to speak the truth. Kenyans never waited for their government, even when policies, anti-people's policies was rolled out. Kenyan's population said, no, we can't accept this. And
Yes.
today, of course, they have been, they have won.
In Nigeria here, even if they see you as a threat to government, I know how Nigeria government does. Shebi, what is it called this man? So he came up with his own propaganda now. Government, you know where he was thrown. Up to now nowhere to use Sowore again.
Okay, thank you so much.
So many of Nigerians like that. So many people. So if you have to come up to be a threat to government, they'll bond you somewhere. And the masses will not come and speak on your behalf. Everybody will be drawing back. Nigeria is not in one ethnic. That's where the problem. And we are not in one religion. Kenya, you are mentioning Kenya. Kenya have one common language in dialects apart from English. Kenya have one common language, dialects, which everybody understand. In Nigeria, we have 60 something, 600, I think 660 something languages in a nation. Not even 100, 600 and something languages. Our mother. If you say a state, in single states in Nigeria, some states have more than 5 languages. How manage did they join all these people to become a nation? How manage? Guinea-Bissau just speak one language, apart from French or the other language they speak. They still have the one dialect. To tell we are here with our differences, everybody should go to differences. But a common country where by the languages are well understood by one voice, why would them be in unity? Look at Benin here. There's not much languages in Benin. They only have one language they're speaking,
So
and French.
you are saying there is no hope for Nigeria as long as the system remains.
As far as we are different languages, different ethnies, it can never be unique. Everybody fights for his own brother. It's my brother, it's my brother. That's where we are, and that's where we are having much problem. So if any day we realize, answers, during answers, there was nothing like 18, there was nothing like one brother, or my brother, or my person. No, you stood up on our feet to speak in one voice, and that's what called unity. And that unity, politicians used to depart Nigerians from being that unity because of money, and that's what we gain at the moment. Because of that, so to meet up that unity again, to be very difficult because they have already split the youth. Because everybody is hungry now. That's why I always tell somebody. And norms and at times, you know where they have to make Nigerians to be hungry? They make Nigerians to be hungry because anytime they give you a little, you appreciate. The government has done it because they have given you a little. Because they know.
Who is receiving the little?
Now I'm just assuming in Nigeria here, anytime they give the masses little, they'll be happy. The government have done well. That's why they always keep me and you hungry. So they don't want us to see the light. But anytime we see light, we realize the mistakes of our leaders and the maltreatment of our leaders. That's where we rise against them. So they make sure we are hungry to the core. So we don't have that strength. Now put your belly food, they go war.
So Nigerians should wait until they eat belly food. Unfortunately, the food is
It's not matter of
It's-
belly food because they say an
it's
hungry
nowhere.
because they say hungry man is an angry man. We are hungry and I'm enduring. You have no shade of anger inside hunger. So it's left for Nigerians to stand up. Because I remember through good luck time, before by now, Tinubu went to Ajota and start protesting. The same Tinubu is redeemed now. We are not even making an impact of positivity to the government we have already stepped in. To the masses that you have said they are leading to the country that you have said that you have to be their father. You have not seen any single impact or positivity in you, not even 1%. So it shows that Nigerians have to stand up and tell this man you have disappointed us because you remembered what he did a good long time. You have failed Nigerians. Ole Shainka that is saying after 1 year Tinubu, he will write about Tinubu government. Where is it to write about Tinubu government? He's not the one that went there to go and start making Oduru Jonathan time. Then I made book publicity against Jonathan. So what is happening now?
No, go ahead, don't worry.
So as I was speaking, for Nigerians, it's highly time we stop this shit. And the highly time have to sit up and speak in one voice to achieve a common goal for the great nation, for the great Nigerians.
Thank you once again.
Nice meeting.
God bless you.
Nice meeting, sir.
Yes, of course, from his submissions, I was able to uh, pick one or two things. He said that Nigerians are hungry, but are silent. They have not been able to show their anger, not until they begin to show the anger and deprivation, they will remain, of course, in the chains of the oppressors. The oppressors will continue to drag them, uh, of course, to destruction. Well, of course, that is his position regarding what is happening. Well, issue bordering on Nnamdi Kanu'S 1 billion suit that was dismissed by Justice Omotosho. He said, well, it's incumbent on the legal counsels to Nnamdi Kanu and the Nigerian government to argue their case either in favor of against. Whatever happens, of course, only time will tell the next action. And someone asking here, so why shouldn't you act like the Kenyans? Ike Otionye, you know what that means? The strength of one man cannot change anything. Just as your name says, free man, Ike Otionye. Ike Otionye is only in the box, in the boxing ring. So there must be a collective interest protected by all. And if that must happen, people must rise to understand that their oppressors are only taking undue advantage of their indolence, of their silence, and of course of their ineptitude to continue to oppress and suppress them. Whenever they rise, maybe that could be the beginning of freedom for them. But whatever happens, what happens to 63% of the Nigerian population in poverty? It means that the government, the state of Nigeria is moribund, cannot cater for the 63 million impoverished masses. The population of Kenya, as of the last review, was 56.2 million population. And less than about 30% of that is considered to be poor. And the people said, no, if we allow this people's anti-policy or financial reform intended to raise more money for the government coffers, it will, of course, aggravate the state of or the living standard of this 7.8 million Kenyans who are poor. And they said that we must fight for these defenseless people. We must rise up to fight. Your Lord is very loud now. And that is the problem. If more than 87% of Kenyan population that are well balanced, that are well to do, could understand the need to fight for just 13 point something percent who are poor to defend the vulnerable. And now, what happens to the Nigerians who are perhaps well to do? Maybe they believe that all is well with them, But unfortunately, the reality is catching up with all our sundry. This insecurity is biting hard. People are being adopted, no longer, of course, the vulnerable masses now. Of most recent, a chief judge was adopted in Borno State and his families. Only God knows what happens to them. Now, the high-profile personalities have been targeted in Nigerians today for adoptions. In fact, they are potential victims for the adopters. Just as I heard about the story of a woman, I saw the video, a woman who, upon returning to Nigeria from the southwestern region, and wanted to visit some of the family relatives. On their way, of course, the Nigerian system happened to her and her family. Her husband and the daughter was adopted. For them to have survived such experience, they vowed never to come back to Nigeria. They will die in the US and will be buried there. Their carcasses or their remains will be buried not in Nigeria. You see, these are Nigerian families. They saw, of course, such horrible experience is nothing you wish for your enemies. Where, of course, the molestations, the abuse, sexual harassment, and all that took place, and eventually they were lucky enough to have been released after paying a very huge lump sum. And they said never again to visit Nigeria, even at death, their own remains will never be brought back to Nigeria. And this is happening, saying that I pity my Yoruba people. They are still living in denial of the reality. Well, let's see how this will continue because the reality is starting at us. There is no peace anywhere. And the tension is building up just as the custom discovered that over 844 rifles, sophisticated ammunition was intercepted. Where are these ammunitions going? They are going into the streets. They are going into communities, into villages, of course, for a possible onslaught, preparing for the day's doom, for the day of doom. Now, how do we survive this? If a country, more than half of a country is impoverished, what can you say about such country? What is the level of productivity of that country? How can that country survive? No, for to be candid, when you have your populations that is impoverished, then what is the government doing? Which means there is something fundamentally wrong with this foundation, with the system, with the process of governance. People's life and priority, their welfare are not prioritized. Good morning, it's a pleasure having you here.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, this is an analyst, of course, of great one. We are here to discuss issues of importance.
Thank you.
1 billion suit against Nigerian nation, against Attorney General, against DSS by Nnamdi has been dismissed, have been thrown to the gutter, as I may use a local language, VEG here, by Justice James Omotosho. What can you say about that? They have denied Nnamdi the right for compensation for violating his right, not allowing his own court or lawyers to discuss with him at the DSS dungeon.
And well, that is because of Igbo man. The intimidation is always been there. Yes. That is what at times when I wake up like this, I look at this country, I begin to shed tears. I'm not going to blame God to bring me down to this country, but at times I give him the glory because he knows the reason why we are here. See, Nigerian government should not push people in the world because if this one started, you know, there is for anybody. If this one where the drag now started, it not go there easier. Because the only people that they are wicked in now is the people, their families in this country. Because all of them, their families in outside world. Are you getting me? So they even decided to even they die. There's no problem in the wickedness in the highest order. So what we're talking about issue of mass in Nnamdi Kanu, it's normal thing. They always do it as if it's Igbo man. But only thing I would advise federal government and the justice and the army chairman of the federation, let nothing happen to that young man. I'm in Nigeria here. I'm in Lagos. But not if whatever anything they want to do, may they do, but nothing should not happen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You know, why I'll put it in this way is that Tinubu carried out all the tout was Agboro in Lagos State, full body. We don't know anything about. We don't know anything. Full body. But I will advise him that whatever anything he planning with that Odo Stout, let nothing happen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That is advice to Mr. President. Thank you.
63% of Nigerian population is wallowing in poverty, hunger in the land. Then if the population of Nigeria, more than half of the population is poor, what is left to be desired about the country?
Already the Mr. President is always wish Yorubas a poor wretched families that people will come and they beg him food inside his house. Because if you look at what happened to Lagos State, you know that they are post Lagos State, post the Yorubas in his own purse. But an Igbo man, it can never be done. It can never be done. See, ladder, his people will continue to come and they beg Igbo man food. If you think that what he's trying to do is to make Nigerians more poverty in this country, his people will continue begging Igbo man food. Shebi, if you are working on the government, when they pay you the salary, you find Igbo man come in shop. If you no buy rice, you buy ororo. If you no buy ororo, you go buy clothes. You must cover body. Are you getting me? So I am not saying it because of sentimental. I'm saying it because it's real. It's a life. It's a life system. Everybody is aware. They know. Even part of their people, they are aware. And the part of their people, that even people that fight for the same Jagaban, for the presidency, they are finding Igbo man now, they beg them for food. How many times they don't meet me for where they eat? Make I not put meat. Only food. They are my brothers. They are my brothers. I will do. I cannot see something like that. I will begin to dream because of it's not Igbo man or Igbo woman. I will do.
Because of the humanity in you. And some said that Igbos don't love themselves, that Igbos are the haters of themselves. Among the entire ethnic nationality, where do you place an Igbo man in terms of assisting others to rise?
An Igbo man is the highest man that love him, brother. Love everybody. He carry people follow body. An Igbo man, we go back to the village, he find out that one of his neighbor or one of his family, that's nothing happening there.
He's not doing anything.
He's not doing anything. He will pick him from nowhere to somewhere. He will trade him how to trade. I got him. He will train him how to trade, how to do business. He will carry him for a body. He will feed him. He will clothe him. Until when the time comes, he settle the young man. Pray for him. Start from here. That God will bless you. God will begin to help you. That is only Igbo man. Are you trying to tell me that a Yoruba man who go like to you to be do, doing the ball every day for you. Make it wash your motor every day. Now go call help you. Can't want their life now. I help them plenty. I get them plenty everywhere. They can never love themselves.
Take you on apprenticeship.
Thank you.
After 4, 7 years or 5 years, but depending on agreement, you'll be well settled to stand on your own.
Yes.
What
It's
greater love could be expressed
That is the
than this?
That is the big love, to show an humanity, to show that you love God in that person, to show that what was going on his life is not okay, but you change his life. That is a better love. Did you get me? That is the best love you can show for a humanity.
Now, back to our discussion. If this has happened, if Mazen Nnamdi Kanu continued detention is lingered, is extended indefinitely, what do you think will happen?
It's not the issue of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu will boss Nigeria. It's the issue of poverty in Nigeria will boss Nigeria. They know what I'm saying.
Issue of poverty?
Yes.
We ravage Nigeria.
And the hunger. They may remember what is going on now in Kenya. They may see it. The one who come out now was playing like gas that just catch fire from nowhere and spread everywhere. This one will be and no escape. Nobody will escape. But the ones where they for Abuja, I don't know how. May they continue importing ammunition and importing bullets.
Yeah, people sub-custom intercepted some
May they
844 sophisticated rifles
brother, it's not enough. Let the federal
and more
government,
than 100,000 ammunitions.
let the federal government importing more bullet ammunition, because when it go start, I don't know how many people they will kill. I don't know how many people will go kill. Federal government and the chief of army staff and police. I don't know. Because when it starts, this one will be. It will be that nobody will escape it. Everybody go die join, including the people they protest, including the soldiers where they shoot. So may they continue. But the advice I will give to them, may they go back to 1967. So 1970. What happened? And only one man hold Nigeria for confirmed 3 good years. With a command. Igbo man is everywhere now. In better position in different countries. So made a flashback. Because this one this smoke where they come out like this. This smoke where they say like this, where they come out like this. It will be a problem when it go starts. It's an advice I give to them. May they no use Agidi where they do for Lagos State. Carry go Abuja. Abuja na capital territory of federation. Here no be Yoruba. Here no be Abuja no be Yoruba land. May they check how many tribe of people that living in that place. For them to begin to think well. May they begin to think well. Come back with their senses now. Because they tell them say when it go start, this will happen. That will no. Different tribe is there. It's already against them. And they are aware. Do you know why I noticed that they are aware? Is when they enter the House of Assembly, they begin to discuss about Nigerians. Part of the people that have feeling of masses begin to discuss about poor masses in Nigerians. Are you hearing me? So what I'm trying to tell you is that the same man called himself the Gaban, who said that he will start from where Buhari stopped.
And we have seen it.
And we have seen that he has started where Buhari stopped. Make it continue to go. Now one day the thing go up to the extent that they run for answers. You go repeat them again. Yes. Make you check what is going on in Kenya.
But unfortunately, that Kenya population, the poor population of Kenya is 7.8 million, as against the 56 point something million But now, it's just about 13% of the population of Kenya. Now you have more than 70 to 80%, because that 63 is also subject to controversy with what is happening now.
Okay.
We can accept it during Buhari time, but now, if the population of Nigerians are more impoverished, which way forward? How do people survive? But people are not acting. People are silenced. People don't hold the government accountable.
Do you know why they don't go out? Because Yoruba people is always believe say Ominoko, Baba go help them.
But this is not just about the Yorubas, because every tribe is suffering.
Okay, an Igbo man can never be interested for government work. An Igbo man believe in traders. Igbo man believe in handwork. It's not everywhere. Don't say that. Don't say that. Are you getting me? Don't say that. Can create harming population in Nigeria and different tribes. Then you come from lies. Don't understand that some areas, some people are even complaining past now is Yorubas. More than complaining, they are complaining bitterly.
The Ebimpami syndrome.
Yes. Are you getting me? So
I'm complaining. It's just that I just bottle myself. I'm complaining for my people who know they subscribe. And they will watch, they know they subscribe. I mean, I want my John the complaining. Kindly hit the like buttons now. Just to share, let others hear this thing. I hope I didn't hear John.
So my brother, see, we are. I'm very happy because God will really help me to escape this mess. Yes, and he gave me notice in time to go and learn work. That's the only thing that make me survive in this mess country. Mess, a country that people dying, and you are thinking to go and buy ship, buy private jet, buy. Hey.
A country that more than 63% is poor.
Mess country, mess.
The government is recommending private jets
Mess.
for himself and the vice president.
Only in own house, only him is careful. Only him chopping fleet Sarah foods. Movement, everything we want eat na Sarah. The movement we won't move. Shebi na free fuel. Eh? The Nepal is in free. I don't blame him. Why I go blame him? At the end of the day, me where they pay for Nepal bill to get that in my house now wahala. And the end of the day, if you don't pay, they will cut your light. So make you come so and so place. Go and carry your wire. Is it not mess? Why I go blame them? If you enter House of Assembly, they go there, they sleep. Some what if you never see them? They go just stay there, they sleep. Just sleep. In fact, they sleep. At the end of the night, somebody go wake them and say, Oga, the time is over, let us go. They will begin waka go house. A country that have no future.
Come and talk.
A country who don't have any future. There is no future. See, the elder, although I cannot say that, I cannot go that place because an Igbo man, I have a future and I believe that my son must get a future. It's only the people, the elders of Yorubas that now allow their children to have a future. If you want to say, they say, Dubale for Baba, bend down for Baba, go do this for Baba. Let's let Baba do this one. Which can Baba? Baba want to go fit tell you what can move your life forward. It's only to wicked you in the highest order.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For your wonderful submissions. We do appreciate you for being part of today's discussion. Yes, SM fans, you've had it. Not just one tribe is suffering. Everybody, whether you are insecurity, Isoko, Ijo, Kanuri, Nupe, Igbos, we are suffering because the cost of the charging data and all that is also affecting me. Sometimes I say, will I continue with this program? But then we have come, of course, too far to retreat. We have committed to the service of humanity and that is nothing but the truth. Everybody is suffering here, not just uh, the Yorubas. Can't you hit the like buttons? What I'm seeing here is just 12. Okay. Please, we can do better than this. Hit the like buttons and share the video. Mr. Frank Semazi Chigos here. You are doing a great job. Okay, God bless you. Thank you for that compliment. And of course, you could also seize the opportunity to gift us using the super chat provided by the YouTube algorithm or support our YouTube channel membership. Thank you once again. As it fast, it has been an interesting moment hearing and feeling the impulse of the masses on the streets. Of course, they are feeling and expressing the way it depends them. It's not a matter of as it depends them, it is sweet us. You know the sweet us, it depends us. It's just the sweet only the politicians, Wike and his lies, and the senators, the governors, who of course leverage on the commonwealth of the masses to better themselves and of course that of their loved ones. Everybody, a bit the me, everybody, and here and that is just but the truth. We're just surviving by the grace of God. By the grace of God. In fact, I begin to ask, may this grace of God not finish one day. Because Nigeria of hell is about to set loose. Whether you believe it or not, the last speaker said, it is not just about Nnamdi Kanu case that will set Nigeria ablaze. It is the hunger that is biting hard, the starvation. People are being stretched beyond their limits, their threshold of what they could accept, what they could endure. And some resort to taking their lives, committing suicides, taking snipers, committing all sorts of atrocities. The sale of organs is prevalent. See young guys dabbling into criminalities. They sell human parts, organs as a way of survival. What a hell! What a hell! So all these things are pointing to the fact that we are almost at the last end of a total collapse. Just as the former presidential candidate of Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi said, he said Nigeria is already a failed state because any country that cannot protect her populations, that cannot cater for her populations, the welfare of her population, just as is being recorded at the national news today, newspapers, that 63% of Nigerians are wallowing in poverty. I better go and check the word wallowing. Wallows in poverty, you know what that means. They are living inside thick forest of poverty that you can't even find your way out. In those days in village, there are some thick forests you will go. Those places that Boko Haram and kidnappers do oppress, they are hideouts, safe havens. When you enter there, you understand that it's a stronghold. So they are living in a stronghold of poverty, and Peter Obi in his submissions was very frantic. Though for me, that may be coming too late, but then he has this right to his opinion, which he have expressed, that the state of affairs in Nigeria, kidnapping, adopting, insecurity here and there, no country survives with the level of criminality, with the level of insecurity, rocking the entire country. All a sudden, the entire region, nowhere is safe in Nigeria today. Not even the seat of power, Abuja, is safe. Because there have been panic, even very close to Kaduna. There have been raids, kidnapped, and the killings of most recent. In fact, it is quite disturbing. Niger State is after a neighboring, of course, border with Abuja, and the rest of them, nowhere is safe. And you begin to ask, what is the way forward? Poor people are in critical condition. My brother is beyond critical. It's beyond critical. Yahaya Mohammed, thank you for watching. I think is it all the way from Bauchi or so. You can also feel. I heard about some people who unfortunately are running away from their own homes. How are you coping up in the north? I feel very much for the northern populations. They are battling with poverty, battling with scarcity of food, battling with day-to-day intimidation, harassment, fleeing their own communities. I mean, they are just at the mercy of whatever happens to them. The mercy of the bandits, mercy of the terrorists, mercy of those proponents of jihadists, and mercy of even the government and the governors and the House of Representatives that have abandoned the people, not even seems to have abandoned the people, because there are no meaningful programs for the masses to better the lot and enhance, of course, the living standards of the northern hemisphere. Here in the south, we are relatively exposed. Some people, of course, have learned to survive the hard way, haven't learned, of course, from their past difficulties, how to manage and cope. But unfortunately, it's becoming unbearable for the people. I must say, no part of this country could say they have, of course, uh, food at the platter of gold. Unfortunately, they take home or whatever, the value of Naira has been devalued. More than 40% inflation. You know what that means? No, you may not understand what that means. You may not understand what that means. And it's quite unfortunate. Uh, Foods, basic commodities, which is food and shelter. It's been reported that more than 30 million Nigerians are homeless. You can understand this when you visit Lagos. Most of the bridges have been turned to residence, a place of abode for. Unfortunately, these are youths in their productive age. These are youths with great future and prospects, trapped in such mess, trapped in disillusionedness. Nobody catered for them. When I watch that, I mean, I'm left with no other option to begin to weep, not just for them. I begin to imagine across the entire Lagos state, and of course beyond the shores of Lagos, how people are suffering. These guys have no place. They have no place. Just in this platform channel, with the help of one of us, a great woman and a great mother, Mrs. Joy Ehi, of course, assisted a very young boy in his 23 years who is just sleeping in a sports place, in the bus stop. You know how, but if you have been in Lagos, you know, understand what I mean by a bus stop. A place where somebody can be picked up and killed, used for ritual and all that. But she was able to help him, of course, to get a room. And may the good Lord continue to bless Mommy Joy Ehi and everyone who has contributed to the welfare of humanity, making life more better than you made it. Of course, your reward is great, not just in heaven, but here. For you to have touched life is the greatest fulfillment. And I'm humbled by that singular opportunity, of course, to be partaker of this and to have come in contact with these people, to touch their life, to give them, you can never know how they feel when you touch lives. You see, there is only joy in heaven, of course, when someone's life is affected positively. But heaven is crying over Nigeria. There is wailing and weeping in heaven because of the Nigerian state. In fact, God is regretting to have permitted the amalgamation of the Nigerian state because of the untold hardship, the pains and agony Nigerians population have been subjected to. And it appears seriously that the government has no plan, not any plan in sight. It's quite unfortunate. Mohammed says, seriously, Nigeria turned into something else, honestly, something else that we cannot describe. I remember use this. I was born and, of course, spent my early years in Kano states. I have traversed not less than 10 northern states, just to say the least. I understood how the North used to be. In those days, you can imagine you can travel, you can embark on night duties, night journeys from the east to the north, just to sleep in the east and wake up, of course, in the north in the morning. But that, you dare not try that. You are just doing that at your own peril, at your own risk. The north is no longer safe. I remember those days, you can manage the scarce resources, limited resources you have for the upkeep of the family, and of course to take care of other necessities, basic necessities. But that is not the case here today. The same north has been turned to killing fields, have been turned to, of course, a theater of war. Just to say the least, bombing has become the order of the day. Killings, mannings, adoptions, killings, and wanton destruction of life and properties. Quite unfortunate. This is not just the north alone, but then the entire regions have a fair share of these brutal killings, hostility, and unrest rocking the entire country. No wonder the quest, agitation for the secession, of course, is building up. And that means a time bomb, not just a time bomb, but we're just sitting on the nuke, which, of course, might explode any moment from now. Because the indices are very clear that Nigeria is heading towards an irreversible end. Who can save us from this destruction? Are the governments willing, of course, to chart the way forward? Does their body language and, of course, actions depict that they are willing to save, of course, humanity from this destruction? The answer to this is no. They're only, of course, feeling secured within themselves, of course, having looted most of the common treasuries to their own advantage, thinking about themselves. Self-centeredness is the order of the day, where people, over 63% of your populations, which I disagree is more, of course, are impoverished. The government is thinking of buying a private jet, buying, of course, rehabilitating houses and other, of course, unnecessary expenditures with 21 billion. You renovate a vice president's house, complex, or building with 21 billion. While you have Nigerians on the streets, homeless, jobless, futureless, and in fact, of course, becoming or constituting nuisance. These are people who would have been given better opportunities, of course, to become responsible citizens or responsible humans for themselves. But unfortunately, they ended up, of course, not because they choose to do so, because the society which they found themselves has conditioned them and have, of course, deprived them the opportunities to have become better persons. Everybody could have been in that shoe. It's just that we are few privileged ones who, of course, come from well-disciplined society or families, and who we are taught, of course, values, and of course, how to be resilient and fight for your future. And this, of course, have given us such advantage to survive, however others are exacerbating. But that is not to say that everybody has such opportunity. There is a role the government must play. There is a role the society must play. There must be a collective interest and, of course, commitment to make the society better, to make the world better. But unfortunately, even those who told us that they never had shoe when they were young, when they had the opportunity to right the wrongs, when they had the opportunity to make life better for the society, the vulnerable, the less privileged, they squander the resources, they throw parties here and there. Their children, of course, throw dollars on the parties across the world. They live ostentatious and lavish life, not knowing, of course, the importance of saving for the rainy day and of course investing on human capital development. It's quite unfortunate that this is happening. But what does that entail? That of course we are building an army of resistance, an army that will one day rise to consume the same society, the same country that failed them, that disappointed them. This is a looming disaster on the way. Of course, not as desert, not forest. Therefore, where the Boko Haram buys okay hide, they of course they are whatever captive they can't. Well, these are conspiracies of silence or being accomplished. It's been of course revealed that most politicians indulge in such desperate art. They encourage and abet such. Otherwise, if there is commitment to fight terrorism, uh, that would have been nipped, of course, in the bud. But because there are vested interests, there are people who are interested in that, who, of course, make robust earnings from that. So they wouldn't want that to go. Yes, some parts of the north are desert, but some also have some uh, forests which can be transvanced. But the issue is that they could turn even the forest to the Dubai. Dubai was once a desert that has no water, that has no even viability in terms of agrarian opportunities. But today, Dubai is a safe haven. Dubai is a center of attraction and a tourist center for the world. So, what is stopping the northern, of course, politicians, the northern leaders, including the traditional leaders and the clerics from the north, to sit down and see how they can better the lot of their own people, rather than impoverish them, enslaving them, of course, just to use them as political tools or willing tools when it comes for election rigging and malpractices and all that. At the end of the day, they are abandoned, of course, to their fate to become our constitute nuisance to the society. Why they reach the politicians' children, of course, tour the world over. They have access to the best schools, the best facilities in the world, around the world. It's quite unfortunate. I think the vulnerable populations of the northern youth must rise at this time. Who will chart the way forward becomes, of course, the endless rhetorics. Sometimes most of them have expressed to be comfortable with the chains of the oppressors. They prefer to remain under the shackles and chains of oppression, of disillusionness, rather than charting the way forward for themselves and then liberating themselves, of course, from this darkness that have enveloped the entire hemisphere of the northern states. It's quite unfortunate. This could have been, of course, a result of the pains they have caused for themselves, trying to invite foreigners, militaries, just for the purpose of election. When they grab the power, what do they do with the power? The power was not used or utilized for the betterment of the populations of the northern masses. Now, the quest for the restoration of the Biafran state have remained very strong, very, of course, unwavering in their tenacity and their commitment to ensure, of course, the restoration of the Biafran entity as a sovereign state. Mazi Simon Ekpa has met with the U.S. Congress, and of course, the lobbies are intensifying the lobbying and consultation to ensure that there is a free transition. And of course, the independence of the Nigerian state is being recognized and registered in the World Charter. Well, I leave you with this until we come your way in subsequent edition. Thank you for being part of this today's discussion. Ugu Oji, thank you. Trust you're doing well. Yahaya Mohammed, thank you for watching. Frank Ibe, thank you once again for being part of this discussion today. Daniel, thank you once again. Please kindly hit the like button, share, and of course subscribe if you haven't done so. Shibo Naji, thank you once again for being part of this program today. Freeman Iko Tonye, the strength of a one man. Thank you once again for being part of today's program. Ogun Tade Shehu. Thank you. I may want to stop here because our system is signaling me that any moment from now, there could be a possible shutdown. You know what that means. Thank you once again. I love you all. Remain blessed and wishing you all the best, of course, in this second half of the year. Don't forget, of course, to support us as much as you can by gifting us to continue this work and possibly get some gadgets we needed to facilitate and make, of course, our outing very resourceful and encouraging. Thank you once again. Remain blessed and bye for now.